Die Kartenlimit macht nix mehr her. Bin schon wieder pleite, dank Mindestverzehr. Wen wundert's, dass ich blank bin, der Ruhrpott ist hart. Ich freu mich volle Pulle auf 16 Karat. Jeden Tag Döner, Pommes und Bier.
Hello and herzlich willkommen zum Auf die Fresse WXW Review podcast in English. I'm Ian Hamilton, joined as always by Mike Kilby. And Mike, we're just over a week away from Youth's biggest tournament. Are you ready?
No, actually, it's kind of completely snuck up on me. Literally about 10 minutes before we came on, and I was like, hang about, that's actually next week, isn't it?
In a circle's what? Yeah, I fly out a week. I think you're a week tomorrow, then in a circle a week on Friday. We said last episode, January goes slow, then February just punches you in the face, and then it's Carat.
Yeah, exactly. I say it's always great. It's always great to be here, but this year I just feel very unprepared. It's just, I'm very excited, but like I've got a lot of stuff. I've had a lot of stuff in between, like sort of the New Year and Carat, so it's kind of a lot to process, should we say?
A lot to unpack, wash, and pack again, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But just before we hit record, WXW announced they're doing their their quarterly fan forum, and Mark Shuttle announced. I think you'd give me a bit of a tip off because of must-see matches. Tassel Young's appearance there on the Brian Daniels and Nigel McGuinness Ring of Honor United match they covered a few weeks back. But basically, WXW have announced tonight everything apart from Inner Circle next weekend will be streaming live in German on WXW Now as part of your subscription. So if you aren't making a trip over to Germany next week, WXWNow.com, fire it up on YouTube, and you'll be seeing pretty much everything live as we see it.
Yeah, and I wonder, I'm tempted to actually possibly try and watch it and see how far behind it is. That'd be interesting to see. But yeah, no, that's
why have I got no signal all of a sudden? Everyone's just streaming Carat on Friday night.
Yeah. Could you get on? No, that doesn't work. I was going to say, could WXW get pinged for me showing the stream on their stream? Never mind.
I don't know about the copyright strikes. I don't think on subscription channels I might be talking completely off my ass. I think with behind a paywall you kind of find, because maybe I'm talking my ass, probably am, but I've not seen all these wrestling promotions move to YouTube. I've certainly haven't seen beyond when they've put stuff up getting dinged for copyright. So who knows? I mean, it'll be a way to find out.
No, I'm not going to do that. Don't worry about that, Mark and all the others. But yeah, no, that's it's they did sort of soft break that at on the Must See Matches pod, which I say 100% recommend you listen to that if you haven't listened to it. The one with about McGuinness and Danielson from Ring of Honor United. Yeah, they did sort of soft launch that, but yeah, I think they've kind of, whether this is going to be every single one, we're not sure, but I don't know. There's a lot to. It's going to be a challenge for them, but they've done near live, and this isn't really that much more. And to be fair, GCW did do live from Oberhausen back in Tagfest as well, so it's not as if it's not been done.
Hopefully they go a lot better than those two GCW streams. I just have very vivid memories of sitting in my hotel room, going through photos, trying to watch it, and the Fight TV spinner logo, was the connection drop. But I say they did Back to the Roots live. They did Dead End live. News Matters live, and also did was it the Road 16 Carat Gold and Bielefeld on the same near live. So yeah, they have been testing, and seeing the internet holds up. Be more than just the several hundred in the Turbine Hall watching, which does mean that you're going to get a lot more takes than usual over Carat weekend from folks who aren't in Germany, which can only be a good thing.
Well, it depends what takes they are, I suppose.
Well, true. But a couple of news bits before we head into the Carat stuff. So Axel Tischer's heading back to the States. There was a video from Big Dame early this month saying Sanity back in the USA from April onward. No idea if that's just a short run, around WrestleMania weekend or if it's a full-blown relocation. Again, time will tell. What is known, we're going to get a ring camp reunion of sorts at Bloodsport. So this is the GCW Collective, Thursday, April 4th. Axel Tischer against Timothy Thatcher, which should be pretty tasty.
Yeah, no, this is this is the when sort of when I realised Tischer was around Mania weekend, I was like, oh, it'd be class if somebody did something with this, and then they basically did the best possible thing. So, very jealous of anybody who is going to Bloodsport 10. It basically always ends up being the show that I guarantee, like I basically set my watch to over WrestleMania weekend. It tends to be the only one that I like have to watch. But yeah, no, I'm absolutely buzzing for this one, and I think it's something we've always wanted, and hopefully it's not the last we have of these two together.
So they have met once before. The final of Ambition in 2012. It was back in September 2012. So yeah, no, I'm not going to be up on WXW now. But if you're looking to see when this is, Bloodsport is 9 p.m. our time on the Thursday, so 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK, 10 p.m. Central European time. So somewhat doable, I would say. Unless we get the main event spot, but yeah, definitely much more manageable WrestleMania than last year, where it was all over the shop. Midnight. Shows were starting as you were waking up and all that kind of thing. So one good thing about the East Coast Manias.
Yeah, it's and I'd say just hopefully there's a lot more sort of Tisha going over, and also Roman's going over, Dreiska's going over. There's a fair bit of sort of WXW representation at Mania this year.
Yep. As the GCW and JCW versus the World Show, I believe they're on.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm just firing up an old Voice of Wrestling, keep on top of this. So let's see what we have at the moment. Scheduled to appear Igel Blanc, Robert Dreisker, Lawrence Roman. I've got astronauts as well. So a few names. I could have sworn there's a few more announced, but maybe I misread. But by one show alone. That one is Thursday night, midnight Eastern. So it'll be a long night for the Amboss lads. And I think early in the evening. Not part of GCW, doing Timothy Thatcher and Daniel McCarby. So more WXW alum. So that Thursday night, might be booking Friday off to get these watched live. But
it's what work from home days are for.
Well, yeah. Elsewhere, Tatsuya Hanami beat Danny Frey for the Academy title a week ago in Marl. He's the 5th champion they've had for the Academy since that belt was brought back last May. Again, these were all non-tape shows, but there's unless we do a title change in the bad sacking in this weekend. So unless we do that, Hanami, every chance he's going to be popping up with that not quite WCW TV title belt at Inner Circle next week.
Yeah, they have actually got a new belt, haven't they?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. The last Wednesday night heat, Robin Christopher Forwerk presented Danny with a new belt. And so it is pretty much I would say a rip-off, but it's very heavily inspired by that old WCW TV title, which looks beautiful. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the old DIY belt, but if you're going to get a new belt made, go all out, and they absolutely have. I think it might be the only gold belt WCW has, because the Shotgun, the main roster belts are silver, so bit back to front, but hey, it's it looks nice, so who's complaining? But speaking of Forwerk, there's one news bit from the Shotgun vlog which was dropped after we recorded the last episode. It's always the way. Teasing a new signing to High Performer Limited over Carat weekend, so there's something to keep an eye out for. I guess you have a bit of miscellaneous stuff. So WXW, of course, we dropped the Carat preview on Friday, and was a speech, a promo, I don't know what you'd call it, from Levaniel, where he pretty much explained, why he did what he did back in December. And that kind of says a lot. Fact that 2 months and only now we're getting me. This is why I did what I did stuff. But a lot of this, it's blamed on the fans. Saying they disrespected him. They didn't care when he was stripped of the title this time last year, or when, quote, or at least from subtitles, he let himself get beaten with straps by Norman Harris. And this line there, when I was watching this on Friday, I thought, that sounds familiar. Lavaniel's not a worthy champion. He doesn't convince me in the ring. I don't know if it's me or you, mate, but I swear one of us may have said that on this very podcast.
Yeah, well, I don't think what he said is necessarily wrong, but I also don't, I don't think that the criticism that was placed towards him was wrong either. I think, I think by most measures he was I feel like he was an unfit champion. Don't feel like the story justified it. If it was all the plan all along, and he was always going to be doing this turn, 3 years later, then fair enough. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was a very good promo. I literally just watched it just before we came on. It was a very good promo he did. But again, like we say, like he does say, he'd been wrestling 2 years max, and there's people who had been there for 10 years, twice as much experience, twice as much ability, and they kind of hadn't really been doing much. So I think that's so I don't necessarily disagree with what he said, but also I agree with him because it's stuff that I said in the first place, or me or you have said in the first place. So
The comparison I couldn't help come up with is it's almost like Leicester. Leicester City, they won the Premier League out of nowhere a few years back. They got relegated last season. They're in the Championship now. It's that whole kind of thing of you unexpectedly win the big one, but if you're not quite ready, whether it's the experience or the ability or for luck of hanging in there, you're always going to fall away. And I think that's kind of what happened with Lionel. Albeit at a much speedier pace. I think we said at the time they kind of paint themselves into a corner. Him winning shortcut to the top, doing the title win to end the on a happy note. But then didn't seem to be that much of a follow up, and that's the problem. We've both been watching wrestling long enough to know folks who they win a belt, but they maybe weren't meant to, kind of rushed into, for want of a better word. You kind of tell like a lame duck champion straight away. I don't want to say Levaniel was, but I do think we saw those first few shows afterwards when
I would say that him being stripped of the title, when he was, it did make Carat more. I feel like for a one-off, I'm glad it's not the stipulation again, but I did like for 1 year that the main event. Sorry, the whole point of Carat was that it was for the title. I did
yeah.
like that.
I mean, I think Tag Festival, that's their gimmick, every year
Yeah.
for the tag titles. Carat as a one-off last year was absolutely great, especially because the fairy tale moment, which we'll get onto, with one of the matches over this weekend. Yeah, I mean, we said at the time, okay, Levaniel did, play a bit of a part in the Guns Harris match last year, but it wasn't like you had that massive groundswell of, oh, how dare you, boo, not. That's the anger
Nobody was
towards Harris
sitting over.
was with Guns. Levaniel kind of faded very quickly into the background. And I think, and again, we made this point, last year. 2020, he was comedy fodder, talking and completely losing the plot as DJ Hyde, his mystery tag, his random ass tag partner, got pinned in a gauntlet match.
Yeah.
Okay, say pandemic, with big reset.
Even during the
that,
closed set era, I didn't think he really went beyond that.
Well, he missed a fair amount after injury as well. Like
Yeah.
I seem to recall, I forget whether it was Shotgun or the Wheel of Wrestling era. Like he was doing the Himmelschlosses, but not really wrestling that much. And it might have been the first Shotgun 2020 where it was literally him and Amal through Skype because of injury. So again, it's it's that kind of thing where, even though we said he got pushed to the top too quick, and if this is the direction we're using to come out with, where the fans are living in a romanticized past, well, it's every good bad guy. When they say stuff like this, there's always a nugget of truth, and as long as they believe in it, it'll work. I think the question is not from Bulberhausen, do the crowd then become all patronizing, but just for the sake of start cheering because they agree with him? Do they start being contrarian for the sake of it? But that we'll have to see, because Levine does have a match on the first night at Carat, and guess may as well freeze into the run through. So in a circle, of course, Thursday night the Academy in Gelsenkirchen sold out. Probably going to be Mystery Vortex card. WXW themselves on that fan forum tonight. TAS has said they are starting to move into the habit of not announcing cards if tickets are sold, because what's the point? You're not going to sell any extra tickets, which is a valid point. I know there'll be some people who'd be a little bit nervy because of mystery cards. People still want to have some degree of, well, I don't want a nasty surprise, but I think with WXW, like with Rev Pro and a few other promotions, kind of earned that trust. It has been 3 years. It has been 3 years since shows have started running again. So yeah, nothing known for Inner Circle, but yeah, I can't remember a bad Inner Circle since I started going on. So yeah, always going to be good value for money. Then night one of Carat, so we have an unannounced alternate four-way, so we can't say who's going to win. But I'm going to throw something out here, and I'm just checking WXW socials now in case they've announced something that they haven't. So the theory that I had, and this stems back from one of those shotgun vlogs, Axel Tischer made some very leading comments about what if somebody gets hurt, breaks a leg, accidents happen. I've got a feeling Axeman's going to be winning that alternate four-way and could well find himself involved on the final night.
Yes, that's entirely possible. What was it I said last week? Who's the figure skater? Tonya Harding. I mean, that could happen.
Yep. And I don't want to say it's going to be part of a Sanity reunion, because I'm not that sold on Sanity, but it's the kind of thing, you make comments like that, that's going to be the natural path. So we'll see who's in. I mean, I'm just looking through the card, like, who would you expect to be in that match? Because rotation's usually a gimme, but he's otherwise busy.
Yuto, Mochizuki,
Mudo.
No, I meant
Mochizuki. No, I'm saying Fast Time
Nakashima.
Mudo. There's one name I'm going to look up, because I haven't seen him on cards for a while. I don't know if he's injured. Nick Schreier. Oh,
Yeah.
he did over traveling last weekend, so yeah, if he was injured, but yeah, because he did dead end the start of this month, but obviously didn't do the he just had a dark match, wasn't involved in the Bielefeld tournament, so that's probably going to be the melting pot. And if Axeman is involved in that four-way, I would just say, especially if he wins, expect something big coming out of it later on the weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I think it would be the sort of place to have to. I think possibly him. I think Nakashima could be a good shout. Mochizuki as well, Junior, and then there's a few other people who would be potentially around.
Alex Duke, Jacobs Crane, if you want to go for local. So plenty in there. So we'll see. I mean, Sodslaw will announce this for, probably the day after we post this. So we will see. But announced for night one, but has been pen to paper. We've got a shotgun title three-way, a rotation defending against Levaniel and Maggot. Rotation only just won the belt at anniversary show. And to me, are we in that weird spell where it's too soon to take the belt off him? But at the same point, do you really want the shotgun belt on Levaniel or Maggot? Like, Maggot have that long run. Do you put it on? Does that feud between those two need this belt?
Well, I mean, the shotgun title has sort of bounced around over Carat Weekend in the past, and it's kind of the point
Ninja
of the
Mac a few
belt.
years ago, of course.
Yeah, it's kind of the point of it. So like, yeah, I don't really think that's much of an issue if he does lose it for even for a day or two. There's lots of you can always get a bit of a fresh start with the shotgun belt over the Carat Weekend, especially with the sort of random people who are around. So
Yeah. Then, of course, we two match for night one. So, I'm just going to go on the order they announced them. So we start with Leo Rush against Igel Blanc, which is a big match for Igel Blanc to have. And I mean, just going through some of these, there's going to be some, I mean, all of them big names. There's going to be some people's favorites falling on night one. Whether like this, I mean, his first match. Do you put Leo Rush out night one, having the shotgun mix? And then you've got people planning heading out tonight through and we do the party catch. So it's that whole thing of do you book people for that 6-man tag now, and then work back and when they're going to be eliminated? But Leo Scheichel Blanc, big match. Igel Blanc, winning the Kayfig Schlacht. And we said, last episode of the episode before, we predicted a pretty big year for Igel Blanc, and big test starting here.
yeah, for sure. I think Blanc's got a lot of sort of forward momentum at the moment. Well, I think most people coming into this do anyway, but I mean, obviously, the very impressive sort of start to the year anyway. I think with the Kayfig Schlacht in January, and then also there was quite a good there was a good tag team. There was the there was a tag team match at Bielefeld, was it? I think was really decent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he's had a good sort of warm up to Carrot. Yeah, because there's no more shows after that. This now, is it?
But about doing Bad Sacking this weekend, they did announce today the Igel Blanc Peach Tahani match, which they were trying to do at Dead End. They are squeezing onto that now
Into Sackingen.
into Bad Sacking this Saturday.
Oh, well, that's great, but nobody's going to see it. So.
Yeah. Well, again, the fact that there's going ahead with that match is that something they're going to try and. I mean, I don't know would they run it back, from Dead End to Carrot, but is that maybe tipping their hand for maybe night 2 or semi-final for Carrot? Guess we'll find out. But yeah, like I say, I think it's a kind of thing where with 16 names, you are going to get a lot of favourites falling very early on. And I guess none more of the second match. A lot of people have Peach Tahani down as a favourite. Well, he's up against the Global Orange Crown champion El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. in the first round, which, yep, I mean, there's a lot different tests, but when you're facing one of the big one of the big champions in Japan, oh boy, that's quite a mountain to overcome.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, 'cause he'd only just won the GH Silver belt, hadn't he? Literally in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, big challenge. But I think Tahani is definitely someone who he sort of is a favourite of mine in terms of this for this tournament. I think he's definitely going to be in the conversation for the last 4.
Yeah.
So, but also Dr. Wagner is somebody you can who you can have sort of around the weekend and chuck him in some of the other sort of some of the other crazy matches, and it's like the tag team open thing. There's a lot of potential for a bit of wackiness with that. So yeah, that's a I think Tahani's probably going to go very far in this. So, but there's no harm. It'd be a good person for him to beat first round.
Yeah, I mean, and if he does lose to the GHC champion, no harm done, but then that kind of does derail other storylines being going on. Another match that made me, drop my jaw when this was announced, drop my jaw even. Ilya Bloom and Masato Tanaka. Who the hell is Ilya pissed off?
That's a pairing, isn't it?
I mean, like, I always say is, Ilya, if you see chairs, run, take the count out, but...
if you can move the match to Bielefeld, then, there you go. Do some politicking there, Ilya.
I mean, it's not that far from Oberhausen. I mean, it might be a bit delayed for show while they rewire all the cabling or what have you, but I'm sure it would work. But I mean, mean, to be fair, Masato Tanaka is, 51 now? This isn't the Tanaka of, Glory Days VCW. But, yeah, I mean, this wasn't exactly the match I was expecting to see him up in terms of opponents. I mean, looking at this cage match now, like, Tanaka has been, he's not slowing down, let's just put it like that. Like, until, December or late November, he was Noah's Hardcore champion. And like he's been, I say he's not slowing down, but he's been in DDT, Noah 01, and that's just last month. So yeah, it's not like he's pulling himself out of semi-retirement to take a payday. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one for Bloom. Anyone who has a seat, if Tanaka comes your way, get the hell out of the way, give me a seat, especially if it's a folding one.
Well,
Run is another option, but yeah. So guess move match, which again another one just had me going, what the hell? Gringo Loco and Mike D.
yeah, I mean,
I've
sort of
underlined that, I've circled it. In terms of just spectacle, that's your match.
yeah, I mean, Gringo Loco was very unexpectedly over with the Germans. I kind of, yeah, surprisingly over with the Germans sort of at Tagfest and during the GCW weekend stuff. Yeah, no, Mike Dean obviously a year on from his debut at Last Carat. I think this is a good strong test for him. I think, like you say, it will be a spectacular sort of. You could expect all sorts of sort of crazy spots from this. So yeah, I think this is going to be quite a good one. I don't know. I think Mike D's sort of he's another person who he's probably better value him being further in the tournament, and Grigo Loco's probably got more value being elsewhere elsewhere in
Yeah.
the weekend. So
I mean, these two did face off during a trios match on night two of Tag League, so Tag Festival back in September. So not exactly strange to each other, but I think this is going to be one where you're going to be left agog, I guess the best way to put it. Just, I mean, we've both seen Mike D a lot more than we've seen Gringo Loco. You've got two guys who are good at in the air and good on the ground. Yeah, but this one's just going to be absolutely bonkers. Moving on, we've got a match which is a bit more steeped in storyline. We've got Stephanie Mays against Icarus, and I guess was Carat 2 years ago.
yeah, the
First Carat
Harrow.
after COVID. Mays and Mudo beating Arrows to win the tag titles. So you're kind of playing off that. Of course, Stephanie Mays beat Baby Allison for one of the last spots in Carat. So I think this one may be a bit more low key on people's cards, but I think this one's going to be a little bit underrated by the time we get in, just because there is a little bit of history, and neither Steph or Icarus to be slept on.
Yeah, so there is obviously the history there. So and I think Icarus is always sort of a good steady hand to have somebody with. To be with someone maybe slightly less experienced. I mean, Steffi, obviously she is very talented, but she has sort of struggled with injuries for a couple of years. So probably the experience that she should have had over that time, Icarus is sort of a good person, a good hand to be in there with her. I feel.
Yeah. Next up, we've got another storyline heavy match: Lawrence Roman against Oscar, of course. The Amboss tie in there. Both exactly the same pose in their promo pictures. Loser gets a new promo shot, I guess. But yeah, that one again, I would suspect, going to be no one be slept on. I think a lot of people will be expecting an Oscar squash. I would not be too stunned if we had an upset from Roman here.
Well, it says how much Oscar has sort of captured everybody's hearts and imagination. The fact that someone who's was up until very recently the shotgun champion is considered a surprise if he beats him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, they've only met once before. Most of my trios match in Hamburg, so yeah. I mean, again, that's one. Could go either way because Roman's been since last summer now. A little bit of dissension with Robert Dreisker, and of course Oscar, the obvious feud there with Dreisker. So yeah, both obvious path to former Avalanche if we do go down that road. Next, we've got a bit of a bruiser. Luke Jacobs against one called Manders. My chest just hurt out of sympathy the second this was announced. That is going to be, some Met calls a big meaty men slapping meat.
Yeah, I saw him saying about that in the preview thing.
The Randy Marsh meme where he's just sat there covering his computer without, I'm not going to go too explicit. That's kind of what I expected with that announcement.
Well, I don't think that deserves any further elaboration, does it?
With once Luke was announced, we knew first round match was going to be something bruising. I was half expecting maybe Tanaka, but heck, this is one a lot of people I've seen were calling for. They're getting it, so yeah, this one. No, I'm not saying it's going to be low key. A lot of people can be expecting a lot of this. But I think this one will tell us, where to actually they slot Luke anywhere, because he's had a hell of a year in Rev Pro. Does that actually translate into Europe? I guess this is going to be the big takeaway next weekend.
Yeah, I agree. I think Oku's kind of hit the ground running, I think, in WXW, since he has sort of come over. There's obviously a lot of there's a sort of bit of a groundswell of support. I think for a long time we had been, I think we'd been banging the drum for him. I think for a long time prior to this,
Yep.
I always felt like he was sort of a ready-made person. Just his sort of size and style, I felt, you can see him being pounced out of the ring by by the big lads, and really in Rev Pro, in Rev Pro and British wrestling in general, there's kind of a bit of a dearth of big people. There's just not the size people that there are in WXW anyway. So yeah, I think you'd this match hasn't happened before, has it? Because did Sensible ever work him elsewhere?
No, so there has been one prior singles match. This was for APC back when they worked Progress, August 2019. Oku beating Sense of Alto in Nanterre. Outside of that, there's been a couple of multi-man matches. They did for what's now Banger Zone. It was a four-way elimination match with Luke Jacobs and Thibaut Hendrick. This was November last year. Before then, Southside. At Resistance Gallery, Sense of Alto against Ricky Knight Jr., Rio JMO, and Maverick Mayhew. And before that, when I actually was there for live, Ricky Knight Jr., Andrew Everett, Joe Nelson, where he is these days, Sense of Alto, OJMO, and Terry Izzet. So just for one pure singles match and a few multi-mans. So yeah, been quite a while since it's been one-on-one. So that should have a little bit of spice to it.
Yeah, well, there we go. Joe, I just realised I was at that that show which had
it's Stevenage with the main event.
The Southside show in the Resistance Gallery.
Oh,
Literally at that show.
Rest in peace, Rescal.
Yeah, had Irie Bones in it, I think, as the main event. But anyway, that was Anyway, that's kind of the first round. We have actually just had some news. I don't know if you've seen it. Ian, came out literally. It's coming out as we are recording. But Axel Tischer has announced he's got a pectoral injury, which is why he's hoping to be on the Ambition show, but he won't be at Bad Sackington.
Yep, just
That's
seen
literally just been announced.
Yeah, I've just seen Strigger's post and just pulling up Axman's Twitter now. Weirdly, it's not on his Twitter account.
Well, yeah, but anyway, that's just been announced. So
maybe it's just come from the festival. So yeah, guess what kind of snookers my alternate four-way thing, unless this is a curveball.
Yeah.
Because again, actually just scrolling down Axel Tischer, literally the fourth tweet was him coming back from surgery after the injury Progress last year. So if best wishes for full recovery, and hopefully doesn't leave too much of a mark from, because again, it's that big match coming up in 2 months' time in Philadelphia,
So
which we were just talking about.
just disregard about 5 minutes of something we said 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the night 1 lineup. So move on to night 2.
Quite interesting about night 1. Sorry, just with is there's no blood feud blow off match on night 1 as there has been in the past, because obviously
no obvious main event.
we've had we've had the Star Vaulter matches a few times. We had last year we had Maggot versus Ahura. So there's been a few of those over the years, but there's not one this time. So yeah, that's quite interesting, I think.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Was it?
2020 had Yearn versus somebody.
2022 was Gresham Guns.
2020
Guns,
they did sort of push as the big name. So
2020 was the last one that had JAA beating the Pretty Bastards for the tag titles.
But anyway, that was the.
So
that was something I noticed.
Yeah, so the ordering especially is going to be interesting, because again, like I say, with no blood feud, I guess the closest maybe the Roman Oscar one, but that's probably something that have to be building up through videos on the day. So probably worth keeping an eye on what the match order is and what they deem as main event. Maybe that's going to tip a couple of hands off. But moving on to night 2, or day 2, in fact, Wheel of Wrestling 57 Wildcard Edition kicks off the day. I think what 12 o'clock doors. I think. Well, we don't normally do this, but let's do this. Wrestling Cult at 10 a.m. at the Cult Temple in the car park of the Turbine Hall. That's not me being drunk. It literally is in the car park for Turbine Hall. Yep. I'm going to make an effort to get there this year, first time. But we covered some of these matches last time. But we've got Amal challenging Nina Samuels for the Wrestling Cult Women's title. Mike D against, still don't know who the hell this is. It's a handicap match. Mike DeVecchio taking on. Is he still a WXW referee? But no, WXWF Marcus Weiss, Danny Frey, and a fella who they still haven't identified. So apologies for you listening, but
so just to fill in the blanks a little bit, because as a Wrestling Cult expert, Marcus Weiss effectively had the Christian Cage gimmick of he's honest, he's the champion, honest, but Mike D's holding the belt. And then obviously Mike D has turned on him over the last sort of 6 months or so. So that's kind of why Marcus Weiss, the referee, is involved in.
I'm pretty sure Mike D will knock the fedora off his head by the opening bell, maybe.
Yeah.
So Danny Frey, Marcus Weiss, and Wrestling Cult put names on, please, for the love of God. We've got an appearance by Griffin McCoy, but no opponent. We've got the No Limits Championship as Aaron Insane takes on Alpha Kevin. And just announced earlier as a King of Cult qualifying match, Mike Schwartz, Norman Harris, and Carnage, which is throwback to the old showcase, the old Wrestling Deutschland day, shall we say.
That being said, if you get a chance to listen to Carnage's theme live in a room full of smelly German beer farts, then it's an experience that you can never forget. And
may as well phone it's vaguely related, but this the King of Cults, the tournament they're doing again at the Cult Temple on May 25th and 26th. Some of the other names have announced for it is for MLW or former MLW champion Alex Hammerstone, Mike D, Wild Boar, Ulf Herman, Oscar, and Gangrel. Other names you'd expect.
Like some eclectic mix, isn't it?
But so that's a 10 a.m. start. Then pop over to the Turbine Hall. This is the Wheel of Wrestling 57 wildcard. 11:30 doors for 12 noon start. They announced a full line for this, so we've got Miles Hawkins against Griffin McCoy against Deshaun Pratt. They've advertised this as a CZW freeway. I've got former Eve champion Sapphire Reed. She's taking on Rachel Armstrong. Channing Thomas taking on Ryan Clancy. Derek Neal against Mark Empire. Landon Hill against Stephen Wolf. Wolf debuted for Rev Pro in Sheffield this past weekend and absolutely stole the show in terms of crowd response, going from "Who the hell are you" to having the crowd out for palm of its hand. So that's going to be very interesting to see if history repeats itself in Oberhausen. Or I would not be stunned if he's working in a circle a few days earlier. Travis Williams from Canada taking on Liam Slater. And we've got a four-way to top this all off. We've got Avatar against Dominic Fisher, against Golden Boy Santos, and Red Scorpion. So, again, nice little mix of names. Some you'll have seen before, a lot you may not have. And I guess that's what these wildcard shows are. It's just, kind of like a melting pot of, the worldwide indies.
Yeah, Felix has been putting his IWTV subscription to good use during this card, I feel.
Yeah. There's a few matches in there that, jump out. I mean, Golden Boy Santos, his first appearance in Germany since losing the Academy Cup to Oscar a couple of years back at Carat. So yeah, I think a lot of these I think is going to be extremely underrated, and I think a lot of people going into this maybe knowing names, and yeah, I think the only downside, and I think we've said this in the past with the old showcase format, if everyone's getting 15 minutes and everyone's getting the me on defense, me on offense kind of stuff, it may get very samey. So, a bit of a challenge there. How do they mix it up?
Yeah, they always need to. Yeah, I feel like that they can be a bit formulaic. Once you realise everyone gets 10 minutes, they do get a little bit tiresome.
Then we move on to Ambition, $230, 3 o'clock bell time. We have the tournament matches. Axel Tischer, assuming the injury doesn't worsen, takes on Jaden Newman in the first round. We've got Jay Joshua against Luke Jacobs. Mochizuki Jr. against Thomas Shire, who I looked on Cage match, and if that's accurate, he's not had that much action since Carat last year, which may not work well for him. And last first round match is Patrick Cyborg against Matt Mikowski, which is one I'm keeping my eye on. Super Fight Fast Time Mudo against Bobby Guns in, I guess, both men's only announced match for the weekend, which for Bobby, we litigated this in the last episode. Big surprise considering Bobby was main event this time last year. And then we've got Icarus and Lawrence Roman against Oscar and Yuta Nakashima in Give Me Tag Team MMA or Give Me Death.
Yeah, tag team MMA is the sort of random stuff I would have been watching during lockdown. We watched. That's a very niche reference for people who understand that. It's. I think sort of the whole Ambition show, as always been a sort of highlight of the weekend. But especially that tag team. I'm fascinated to see how that works. So they've not tried this before, have they?
Not as far as I know. Like,
Yeah.
is it just going to be a tag match with no submissions and knockouts, or is it going to be tag tornado tag without pins? Yeah, I think that's one of them. I don't want them to have Tommy or Dan or whoever's doing ring announcing, it's no tags or this, but how that's translating to the crowd, I think is going to be very interesting considering Ambition by itself is a niche within a niche.
Yeah. So I think yeah, and the other obviously thing I think is that the Guns and Mudo match. I still well, I suppose it's a good thing that we don't know, but kind of like it. I don't the lines have been blurred very very heavily in this sort of feud, hasn't it? The whole Bobby Guns and Mudo kind of getting out of hand in a random tag team match. It's very sort of it's quite exciting, and I think that there's people who have picked a side as well. I feel as well online. It has got a fair bit of thing because they have been sort of trading barbs quite a lot, sort of backwards and forwards on Instagram thing, isn't there?
Well, I wasn't not exactly surprised that Moodle's not on Twitter or get many fans on Twitter knowing his stance on that. But yeah. I mean, we said was it
It was weird.
It was very weird. Like and whether it was as I had explained, emotions getting the better of them. I don't know, like, I mean, I don't want to say always, no, I don't want to pull the curtain back so far and ask, hey, is this real or is it fake? Because we know what wrestling is. But the fact that we're looking at this and we know what it is, and we wonder, is that real or is this put on? In fact, we're still questioning that. They've caught lightning in a bottle here, whether it's by design or accidentally. Who knows? But it's wrestling I like. When we're doing this and we're wondering, is this for real or again, I guess we'll find out. If they're just doing wrist locks and tie ups to start the fight, then were things smoothed over, or was it a work all along? We'll find out in just over a week's time.
It's wonderful to have that. We're not quite sure though.
Yeah. Night 2 of Carat. So again, just checking the trigger. I'm guessing this came from the forum. So we haven't confirmed again the Absolute Anti Hall of Fame induction is going to be the main event spot. So we are closing out the show with that. So yeah, I mean, when we kind of touched on this in the last episode, like how is this going to go? Because I think the last Hall of Fame we had was being Robbie Brookside 2019, and we don't tend to do the have people doing speech, but obviously it's been posthumous for Andy. It's it's going to be curious to know how they do. Is it going to be Taz? Is it going to be Felix doing a speech? Are we going to bring names back from the past to memorialize? One thing that's going to be for certain, it's going to be extremely emotional. Whether it's in English or German, I think there's not going to be dry in the house from the end of Saturday night.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it's the thing is, headlining Carrot for one last time. Yeah, it's gonna be a very tough watch, but
Yeah.
yeah, a wonderful thing, a wonderful celebration, and I think the least we could do. I think. Well,
And between the bells, we've got 2 title matches announced because, of course, this is usually a championship Saturday. Elimination freeway for the tag titles. Rotten Flot, Mikhail Schenkenberg and Nikita Charisma against High Perform Limited's Anil Marek and Tristan Archer against Hector Invictus and Dennis Stolnik. So there's been all the shenanigans, past few shows. Basically, it's not one fall to finish. It's 2 teams have got to lose, so we are going to be left in absolutely definitive winner. You would hope. So yeah, I have a feeling Cash and Hector's run comes to an end here. But as far as who does leave the belts, things can be coin toss.
yeah, and then the other thing is there's all likelihood of they'll probably do another tag turmoil, not the random tag team thing as well.
The tag shuffle, yeah.
So who knows what could come out.
I mean, the last Shotgun vlog, there was a lot more grumpiness, I guess, with Hector towards Stolnik. So, and they have been when we've been doing those interviews, they haven't been together. There's always been Dennis running after Hector. So, if we're pulling together, on the night, but I do think this is where their luck runs out. And of course, the de facto wrestling main event, Shikahiro Irie challenging Robert Dreisker for the Unified World Wrestling title. Rematch from the Drive of Champions had impromptu match. And yeah, we've said in the past, Robert Dreisker's fights on several fronts. Page to Honey has had his sights on him since the start of the year, if not longer. Lawrence Roman from within, obviously. Of course, Irie's the a clear and present danger to his title reign. Do you think there's going to be much chance for title change, or do you think Dreisker's going to shut down the fairy tale story again?
I think there's a fairly good chance of a title. I think there's a fairly good chance of it. I couldn't really call it, but I think it certainly leans more towards Irie. I think winning. There's, as like you say, there's a lot of sort of turmoil hanging around him, especially if him or Amboss get involved elsewhere on the weekend. I think there's a lot there, and I think Irie is sticking around for a bit longer as well.
Yeah, he has been announced for Rev Pro's Revolution
Yeah.
Rumble at the end of the month, or end of March. But again, it's not like him going back to Japan. That's the end of it. I mean, we saw for women's belt, Ava Everett took it back to America for a few months.
It would do absolutely no harm Irie taking the unified belt
Not
to
in the
Japan
slightest.
at all. Stick him on some of the big cards with get him in a singles match with Abe for the title or something. Like that's the sort of thing you want, isn't it?
Get them on
and
Big
more-
Japan,
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah,
maybe DDT again.
exactly. There's no harm in that. Get a Brooks match in, get a all sorts. I think there's a lot of value in him taking that belt abroad if he wanted to. So yeah, I don't. And likewise, it doesn't just because the belt's the belt not being there doesn't necessarily mean there's, especially if Dreisker's going to be embroiled in Amboss collapsing potentially. The title not being there wouldn't be the end of the world either.
Oh, we're going to have Lavanya Land Robert Rice scream at us next weekend. That's going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, we've got 2 shows, nothing announced for us, but Wheel of Wrestling 58, 11:30 a.m. doors, bell time at noon. And then the semis and finals of Carat and a few other stuff, the party catch tag as well. 4 p.m. doors, 5 p.m. bell time. And then as soon as we get there, Mike, it's going to be all over.
Yeah. It goes as quickly as it arrives, basically. Yeah, but it's a packed weekend, and I've actually got the week after booked off. So
I'm not so lucky.
So yeah, it's I can you I often feel like after Carat you need a holiday to get over the holiday. So yeah, that's there's a lot to digest and say, but it's fast and furious, and you blink and you miss something usually with Carat. So but hey, you're going to be able to watch it straight away on the video on demand this year.
And that's one of the things WWE is plugging. If if you have too much to drink on Friday night, you can watch the wildcard show in your hotel room, and not have to stress out. So, be interesting to see how that goes. But if you are going over, or if you're making a late decision, of course, Inner Circle sold out. But as far as the rest of the Carat lineup, of the rest of the shows, in fact. WWE did put an infographic out earlier this week that I'm trying to dig up and just roughly translate. So, Festival Pass, if you want to be up deck balcony with all the drinks, down for the last drinks at less than 8. Front row Festival Pass gone. If you want Festival, that's everything, including matinees. You can only get that seated. Rows 4 and 5, and there's about 2 dozen of those left. Tournament passes, so that's for free Carat shows. You can get standing on the balcony, there's about 20 of those left, or standing on the floor, got about 100 of those left. Individual shows, standing only for night 1, 2, and 3 of Carat. We are down to the last 50 tickets for night 2, so if you are flying in for that, get your skates on, I guess. And then all the matinee shows, plenty of seating as well. But yeah, looks like it's going to be a pretty full Carat, matches and crowds. Of course, there is one show before we get to Carat weekend. That's this coming Saturday at the Huber Arena in Bad Säckingen. A couple of matches announced: Mike D against Joseph Fennick Jr., Cash and Hector defending the tag title against Tristan Arsh and Anil Marek, Shigehiro Irie and Tatsuya Hanami against Robert Dreisker and Lawrence Roman, Baby Allison against Anita Vaughn, and Idol Blanc against Peter Tahani, as we mentioned earlier. And then post Carat, just running through the dates because I don't think we've announced anything in terms of matches. We've got March 23rd in Frankfurt for 16 Carat Gold Revenge, March 24th for Live in Erfurt, April 13th for Live in Fulda, April 27th in Dresden for True Colors, for 28th in Leipzig, May 3rd in Mendig, and May 4th in Papenburg. I would say, Mike, love these. They're just saying like Wheel of Wrestling Live, so I don't know if there's going to be a format
Probably
change
not recorded, yeah.
or whether they slap numbers on these later. We kind of got bitten by that last year. Was it the Saxony one where they had like 3 shows back to back to back? Originally not looking, and then they all end up being taped. So we'll see what comes from that. But certainly go 6 shows. Next weekend, plenty to get caught up, and I'm pretty sure Mark, Short, and everyone doing editing and all that will be grateful for a few free weekends. So they'll not be complaining if some of these are just house shows.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I'll do it for another episode. Be obligatory, like and subscribe, leave a review, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever. We are going to threaten to take those to YouTube sorry faces somewhere in Oberhausen next weekend. But Mike, anything to plug before we'll let you get packing for next weekend?
Need to unpack from where I've been. No, nothing really to plug apart from basically all of my social media stuff is under @Mike Gilby on pretty much everything. So yeah, Instagram, Twitter, everything basically go through that. So if you want to follow me and hear me talk about WXW or any other nonsense, mostly nonsense, that's the place to find it.
You can follow me at Ian Wrestling on Twitter. Probably doing photos over the weekend at Back Body Drop on Instagram, at Big Back Body Drop on Twitter. But yeah, I'm sure you'll see us around, whether it's Gelsenkirchen, Oberhausen. And Mike, not seeing Rev Pro this weekend. We'll see you in Germany next week. And if you come along, say hi to us. Otherwise, cheers.
Cheers.